Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Rotary Club of Nassau Sunrise meeting this morning. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and coming out this morning. As we commence our meeting this morning, I'd like to start us off in a word of prayer and ask for invocation to be done by IPP Francis this morning.
Good morning, sunrisers and guests. Let us pray. Eternal and everlasting God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for those who have joined us on this virtual platform and those who will be joining us. We ask your blessings on these proceedings, that they may be productive as we discuss the advancement of our work as Rotarians. Amen.
Thank you, IPP Francis. As we commence, let me start our meeting. I'd like to have our little royal toast this morning by PP Tanya.
Thank you, President Therese. Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests. Please raise your glasses or mug to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you very much, PP Tanya. This morning, I would just like to also greet our visiting Rotarians and guests this morning. If you're able to, Akima, Secretary Akima, could you greet our visiting Rotarians and guests this morning?
Good morning, all, and welcome to our weekly meeting this morning. Thank you, President Therese. I would like to say a special good morning to our guest speaker, Mr. Richard Pinder. Thank you for joining us so early this morning. We look forward to your presentation. We do have Rotaract Destiny Cooper, I believe from the Rotary Club of Nassau Sunset. Thank you for joining us as well this morning. We do have two more visitors. I would like to open the floor for Rotarians to introduce your guests, if they are guests of yours.
She's not a guest of mine, but I saw her yesterday. I know she's coming online, which is former Rotarian. I know she's online. Akeisha. I know it's the AK, right? So it's is she online?
Akeisha Knowles?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Good
Morning,
morning.
Akeisha.
Morning.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. We also have Shannon Clinton. Not sure if you are a visiting Rotarian or guest. Do you mind just opening your mic and saying good morning and who may have invited you?
Good morning, visiting Rotarian from Old Fort Bay, invited by Diana Miller.
Great, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to all our visiting Rotarians and guests. Thank you very much. Diana Lynn, you have a fine this morning, so we're going to start you off with the fines for not introducing your guests. I'd like to invite Director Tanisha to come to give our announcement of our raffle this morning.
Morning, everyone. Thank you very much, President Therese. This morning we have a great raffle prize as always. I can't share my screen.
Can't? 1 second. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
So this morning our raffle prize is Index Duraband Standard blow-up bed. These are very versatile in use. I know a lot of people think you can only use it indoors, but you can also use these outdoors on the lawn. So we're going to be raffling off this prize, 1 for 5, 3 for 10. Guests can participate. You can just purchase your tickets and then let the Rotarian that invited you be in touch with them and they can tell you how you can pay. So it's 1 for 5, 3 for 10, and you can purchase your tickets in the chat. Thank you. please support the raffle.
Yes, please support the raffle. I also will put the obviously the bank account in the chat, so please take note of the bank account that we put a place in the chat shortly. I'd like to invite Father Palacios to come and give us our jokes and finds this morning. Please don't forget, like I said, Diana Lynn has to be fined for introducing her guests.
Oh, that's at the top of the list. Good morning, everyone. Trust you all doing well. Trust you all doing well. Some of us traveling. So those who are traveling, this is an honor crew, right? So just put in an extra $5. That includes me, Felix, and some of the other people. Everybody who's traveling, just notify the treasurer that you're traveling. You're traveling in this kind of atmosphere. Country all open up. Put in an extra $5. $5. I see we have somebody talking about financial literacy and saving up for your children. That's very nice. Of course, one fella said, running into debt doesn't bother me. He's running into my creditors. That's really upsetting. All right, last week, we had a talk on autism. And what I realized that one of the symptoms was not paying attention and not following instructions. And then I remember my good friends, Leon and Felix. Their wives complained to me that they don't pay attention. So I thought they have had autism. And then my wife tells me that I don't pay attention. So I was going to ask the lady last week if we too have autism. Of course, I only started like that after I started to hang out with them. So I have to stop hanging out with them unless I might get autism as well. Okay, yesterday I spoke at a function. It was a memorial service. And these people were enthusiastically singing, "I feel like traveling home." I say, you all feel like traveling home. And everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die, as Ronnie Butler sang. But then we always talk about feel like traveling home, but we ain't want to go nowhere. You realize regardless of how tough life is, we still always want to hang in there and do our best. Reminds me of one time I was preaching. I said, all those who want to go to heaven, stand up. So everybody stood up except Johnny. I said, all those who want to go to heaven, stand up. Johnny continued to sit down. So I said, Johnny, you ain't want to go to heaven when you die? He said, yeah, when I'm dead, but I thought you was taking a busload now. Okay, we need some more fines, don't we, Mr.
Yes, we do.
President? Okay, what you did wrong this week that you think we should fine you for? Let's be honest. Find something and then put in $5.
Yeah, I'll put the $5.
Okay, as I said, all of us who are traveling, just buzz the treasurer. All those who are absent, that's easy to find out, right?
That's fairly easy, yep.
That's easy. So let's get some $2 from those persons. And this is a good day to be alive. Indeed, every day above the ground is a good day. If you think I'm lying, try missing one. Let's get everybody to give a happy dollar and everything should be all right. You all have a great day. Stay safe. God bless. And enjoy the rest of your life. Don't feel like traveling home anytime soon. Bye-bye. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Father P. Please don't forget to put your fines and raffles in the chat this morning, please, just so we can make a record of it. I'd like to now invite our chair for Rotary, family of Rotary, Gwen, to give us our birthdays and anniversaries this morning, if there are any.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to be here this morning. So we have birthday blessings to Rotarian Yvonne. She celebrates tomorrow. Yvonne, may God continue to bless and keep you. And we do hope that you have a fabulous day tomorrow. That's our only birthday this week. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Gwen. And Yvonne, I hope you have a blessed day tomorrow and enjoy your birthday. And it will be on Friday. So enjoy your free TGIF. So that, as we have our announcements this morning, just want to highlight that we will be, as we mentioned last week, that Little Pattern will be having their autism fair, and we will be donating to their tents for the event tomorrow morning. And just wanted to highlight that. Also, as we start the project, last week was an awesome meeting with autism. We're in discussions with the autism president, and to just see where we can assist them in their fight with autism and intervention. So please be aware that that's up and coming. I'll apprise the club of our involvement with the autism and reach to ensure that we are able to participate and provide some assistance where we can, and to be able to ensure that those persons, those families that are in need, that be able to assist them where we possibly can. Just to highlight that, are there any other announcements this morning?
Yes, there is. The date for the launch of the raffle is Monday, May 2nd. Each club will be provided with at least 100 tickets. And the committee is suggesting that each club select a site for the sale of tickets beginning next Saturday and each Saturday leading up to the drawing. Solomon's Harbor Bay was confirmed as the site for our club, since we have rang the bell, the Salvation Army bell, from that site for the last few years. The drawing date is set for June 30th. And so I'm asking, please stay tuned for the location and time. They will be coming shortly. Back to you, President Therese.
Thank you very much, IPP Francis. I just want to plug in that please support the raffle as it's coming, and each member should participate and do their part in terms of selling the raffle ticket for the betterment of our club and for our initiatives, especially our educational initiatives, as well as the BTVI scholarship fund that we are working. So please support and provide assistance where I can in selling the raffle tickets. As we move along in our meeting, I'd like to invite Rotarian Keith to give us our Rotary Minute for this morning. And thank you, IPP Francis.
You're welcome.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests. Today's Rotary Minute is on the topic Global Grants. Global grants support large international activities with sustainable, measurable outcomes in Rotary's areas of focus. By working together to respond to real community needs, clubs and districts strengthen their global partnerships. Global grants can fund humanitarian projects, scholarships for graduate level academic studies, vocational training teams, which are groups of professionals who travel abroad either to teach local professionals about their field or to learn more about it themselves. Global grants have a minimum budget of $30,000 and a maximum World Fund award of $400,000. Grant sponsors can use a combination of district designated funds, cash, and/or directed gifts and endowment earnings to fund a global grant. The foundation will provide an 80% World Fund match for all DDF contributions. There is no minimum World Fund match. To learn more about Rotary's global grants, visit my.rotary.org. Take action, apply grants, global grants. This ends the Rotary Minute for today.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. I know we have learned a little bit more about the Rotary grants. We've been doing so for our entire time in business in Sunrise. We've always been a part of the Rotary grant, but I'm taking advantage of it. So please go to your My Rotary and to learn more about the grants, district and international grants as well. Let's move along in our program. Just want to highlight also that to members to be part of the membership spotlight. I think this is a great initiative that we started just to highlight members. So if you please see Director Patrick, and if you would like to participate, if you haven't participated in the membership spotlight, please do so as we wind down, and so people would know who you are and your vocation, a little bit more about you in the membership spotlight. So please participate and be a part of the program. As we start in I'd like to invite our speaker, guest speaker, but before we do that, our introduction of the guest speaker will be done by Rotarian tomorrow. So can you please come in and introduce our guest speaker?
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. It's my extreme pleasure to introduce Mr. Richard Pinder. Richard Pinder is the Operations Supervisor at Colina Financial Advisors Limited, or CFAL. He is a graduate of Temple Christian High School. Richard earned a Bachelor's of Business Administration from Acadia University in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, Canada, where he was an active member of the Business Society, and a Master of Business Administration from Nova Southeastern University in Miami, Florida. Richard joined CFAL in 2006 as a full-time employee in the Reconciliation Department and was promoted to Operations Supervisor in 2009. Richard has responsibility for the Reconciliation Department and the banking operations of the company, ensuring its day-to-day functioning. Richard is married and he has 3 children, just recently welcoming twins into the family. I introduce to you, Rotarians and guests, our guest speaker for this morning, Mr. Richard Pinder.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Rotarians. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the invitation. So we are here to talk this morning about your kids and their future. Of course, very important topic. And of course, anytime we talk about our kids and their future, we always want to make sure that we're thinking about how we're going to take care of them, how we're going to make sure that they have everything that they need. And of course, what ways we can make sure that they have everything that they need. So I'm just going to talk for a little bit about ways you can make sure that they have everything that they need, and ways that you can make sure that you put things in place for them. So first thing I'd like to talk about, of course, is, as we know, the rising cost of education. So of course, every year, the cost of school, whether it be primary school, whether it be high school, whether it be tertiary education, that cost is always rising. And of course, we have to look at ways that we can, from the resources that we have as parents, from the resources that we have as guardians, as family members, how we can help to ensure that they have the education that they need. Because of course, education is the key to them being successful in whatever career or future they choose. And some of the things that we can do to help them in terms of their education, in terms of our finances, is of course looking at prioritizing their education as a part of everything that we do. Because of course, a part of raising children, a part of rearing children is ensuring that they are as successful as they possibly can. I'm sure that being a part of Rotary, you would appreciate that you want them to be as successful as they can in whatever field they choose. So prioritizing your child's education is very important because, of course, there are going to be times when sacrifices have to be made. And of course, we as adults and parents understand that from the time they are born. Of course, as you guys just mentioned, once again, thank you for that warm introduction. I've just welcomed twins into the world. So this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart because, of course, when you look at those newborns, you hold them in your arms, you realize that everything that you're doing now is more about them than you. And so I think that some of the things that we can do to ensure their financial success in their future is, of course, you have to now look at your budget, look at where you're spending your money, look at how you're allocating your finances. Children, or before you're thinking about their education, you now have to reallocate, and you now have to say, okay, now instead of the $20 I used to spend somewhere else, or the $25 I spent somewhere else, where am I going to allocate this money that would benefit my child? So there are a number of ways that you can, or even investments that you can make into their future that would give you a future value that would help to, of course, defray the cost of their tertiary education. There are a number of ways that you could look at ensuring that you're able to give them the best education they want, because of course there are a number of options in terms of how you achieve that goal of advancing your career. But I think some of the things that we can do, firstly, is most importantly, start teaching them from an early age how to save. I think that's something that we as parents have to do, because once they start to learn, once they start to take a part in their own educational advancement, then they can start to appreciate the sacrifices that you have made as a parent. So that's one thing that you can do as well, is to ensure that they take part in their educational advancement. So what that means is, of course, start teaching them to save from they're young. So of course, we've all seen the piggy banks and the little savings banks. Start teaching them to put coins away. One thing that I've done with my oldest daughter is every time she sees a 5 cents or a 10 cents lying around, we've taught her to just go ahead and put it in a piggy bank and save, save, save. So I think that's one great lesson that kids can appreciate from young, is that you have to earn everything. You have to work for everything that you have. And so once you start to teach them that lesson, they can appreciate, okay, look, I have to work for it. I have to earn it. If I'm going to do anything in terms of school or my career, I'm going to have to help mommy and daddy to save, but I have to help my parents with my own goals, with things that I want to buy. And once I've saved my money, then I will feel better because I've earned it. So I think that's a good lesson for them to learn from early, because of course they now have an appreciation for saving money, number one, which is very important, and they understand the value of money as well. So I think that kind of ties into my second point, which is teaching your children the value of money so that they can have an appreciation for how much things cost, how much things are rising. And this lesson can be taught in a number of different ways. There are a number of resources out there to kind of teach money to your children. There are games, there are things that can help them intuitively or creatively to understand the value of money. And of course, there are also a number of ways that you can just, even through the house, through the daily lives that we go through with them, help them to understand the importance of saving and the value of money and how important it is to prioritize their money from young. Another thing that we can do as parents is, just as we pay ourselves, we have let's say if you have a pension for you or savings for you, you can start putting a savings for them. The beauty of it is the earlier you start, the better. But of course, if you haven't started or if you didn't start early, as long as you make a decision to save for their future, there are a number of resources out there that can help you to save for their future. The main premise is to start as soon as possible, because of course, we always talk about the future value of money. And what that means is that you can find a number of investments that can continue to earn interest for you. And so you want to ensure that you're investing in the best possible plan or investment that would yield some future value of that money. Because of course, you want to put your money to work for you. And that's very important, because we're looking at, let's say, 18 years of their life, give or take, for them to graduate high school and make a decision as to what they want to do in their careers and their schooling. And so you want to start putting some money away as soon as you possibly can. And it could be $1, it could be $1 a week, it could be $1 a day, it could be however much you can afford. But it just goes to the first point of reallocating your budget. I think it's very important that you look into your budget, because you don't want to extend yourself beyond what you can do, but you do, of course, want to make your kids a priority. And so when you think about saving for their future, and I talked about the rising cost of education, of course, that cost is changing every year. For those of us that have kids, you know, based even on the school fees that you pay now, that the education of kids is rising. But of course, it's something that you can't shy away from. It's something that you cannot do, because of course their education is very important. It sounds cliche to say that they are the future, but it is the case. I mean, we are not as adults going to be here forever. Our kids are going to take over, and they're going to be adults one day, and you want to make sure that they're as well prepared as we possibly can prepare them. Another tip or another piece of advice I would give you in terms of investing in them financially is reading a lot of different types of books to them. So of course we have the stories that we tell our kids, storybooks that we tell our kids. But what I would encourage you to do is to read different types of books to them. And that could be books about money. Once again, it could be books about finances. It can be books about how to save. It could be books about how to invest. There's so many resources. There are so many websites. There are so many podcasts. There are so many things that you could use to just get their minds going. Because if you help them to understand how to invest in themselves from younger, it would help some of the financial costs that they may have later on. So in terms of them understanding how important finances is, and how important money is to whatever career they choose. So that can help you as well. And of course, it can also help with them possibly getting grants and scholarships to help with their tertiary education as well. So definitely take advantage of all the resources available to you in terms of their schooling, in terms of them understanding finances, in terms of them understanding money. Once again, reading books to them is very important. Even something that I mentioned previously in terms of podcasts, I've found that in doing research and for different things, that there are even ones out there that kind of gets towards younger persons or children. So depending on the age of your child, or you can find things out there that they can even listen to if it's, you know, on the go when you're in the car with them, just continuing to put it in their ear, just so they are aware of it and they understand that these are their options. I think one of the greatest tragedies that we don't teach our children about money and finances at an early age. Even at CFAL, we've found that as we've done we have a junior investor program, we found that a lot of persons don't have the opportunity to learn about money itself from an early age. So what we have is a situation of, we have high school students graduating where they now have to go into the quote unquote real world, and they haven't been given the proper tools in terms of understanding the importance of saving, even the basic of money management. And so I think it's important to teach them from an early age. and make sure that they appreciate the value of it, make sure that they appreciate the sacrifices we as parents make for them, and to understand the importance of money in whatever career they choose. The last tip that I would leave with you is to ensure that however you reallocate your resources, whatever sacrifices you're making, whatever investments you're making, to ensure that you don't dip into it over the period of time. I know that 18 years, depending on however long you started the investment, it may sound like a long time. But as persons in the group who may have older children can attest to, that time comes pretty quickly. And so you want to make sure that you stay the course. And once you've decided how you're going to invest or how you're going to save for them financially, that you stay the course and you do not try to access that money or that investment before it's time or for any other purpose other than some, life or death emergency type of situation. But I encourage you to stay the course, because there are going to be times where you feel like you're going to need something from that and from that plan or from that investment. But I assure you that if you stay the course and you reap the benefit of that plan or investment that you've made, that it would definitely lighten the burden of the financial cost of education or the career for your child. And then you would have a greater sense of satisfaction once that time comes, because of course, it'll be participatory between you and your child, as I mentioned earlier, having them participate in it from their earlier ages. Of course, both of you can appreciate it once the time comes to actually use the funds for what you want it for. So I think it's important to stay the course and continue to find ways that you can invest in various products or plans that can help you to save money. One of the main things that you want to do when you talk about investing for their future, you want to make sure that you're investing in something that, like I said previously, is working your money and giving you the best interest. You want to make sure of the fees that you're paying, of course, because it's a long-term plan. You want to ensure that of any rules or stipulations in terms of you accessing the money or in putting more money into it, because of course there are going to be opportunities over that time frame to put as much money as you can. So you just want to be careful of the investments that you make, because and that goes for any investment that you make, because of course this is a long-term plan that you have in place, and so you want to make sure that whatever investments you make, it is working the best for you. As I mentioned, you want to make sure the investment is the best investment you can make, and of course that it's doing what you want it to do. So of course you want to have all the information before, of course, we work hard for our money, and you want to make sure that you're making the best investment you can overall. And so that's something that you want to say. So in wrapping up, I just want to say our children, of course, are very important to all of us, and we want to make sure that we have things in place for them. So if you once again look at these tips, reading to them from an early age, having them save as well as you reallocating your budget, and staying the course in terms of whatever investments you do make, that you of course would see you'd always reap that you'd reap that benefit once the time comes to save for their future. Once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to Rotary this morning. And I hope that you are, of course, saving for your child's education, saving for their future, because of course, there's nothing greater than seeing our child succeed or seeing your child succeed. And of course, you want to do everything that we can to help them. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pender. Appreciate your words of advice and encouragement. Do we have any open questions on the floor this morning? Questions or
I have
comments?
a question. Thank you, Mr. Pender. You're always short and sweet. I know you couldn't turn on your video this morning because you have newborns and a young toddler, so the house is busy. But I have a question on the Junior Investor Education Program, or the Financial Literacy Program with the high schoolers. You mentioned that, I know you've been in that for over a decade. Can you give us some more information on what that entailed and your interaction with the high schoolers and what you felt, if you consolidate your years of experience with that program, maybe 2 or 3 highlights from that?
Sure, yes, thank you for your question. Yes, so what we realize is the financial literacy, the basis of everything that we do. And just like I was saying previously, we realized that a lot of students, they're going into the real world and they're being asked to make adult decisions, but they have not been given the tools to make those decisions. And I'm talking strictly in terms of money. And so what we've decided to do at CFAL is, just like you said, we've been doing this for a while now, over 15 years we've done the program. What we realized is that we wanted to give them those tools in terms of money management and how to save. We've started from the high school level, the senior high school level, so grades 10 to 12. And we just want to give them as many lessons as we can. We want to give them resources in terms of how to save money, how to budget. We even give them a portfolio so they can see how the market works, urges them to get in. But the basis of the program is financial literacy, to give them as much information on money management, on saving, so that once they get into the work world, once they start to work, once they start to think about their career, they can understand how money works. Because you can't have, of course, children, you can't send them out into the work world and don't teach them how to manage their money, because then they be going out there just working paycheck to paycheck. And we don't want that for our country or for our future. So the basis of the program is just teaching senior high school students how to manage money, getting information and knowledge on money and its importance to them and whatever career path they choose.
Okay. I have a question, Mr. Pinder. You had mentioned what vehicles could be used in terms of for money management, in terms of putting aside funds for children, what annuities, or I know real estate is probably one of them, but that is more of a long term. What investment vehicles would you recommend, or would you've been seeing it in your job?
Sure. So definitely, well, annuities is not one I would recommend. Annuities are a retirement product because it's more of an income replacement. What I would recommend is a long-term savings plan, one that CFAL has, such as our education plan, where it just allows you to invest as much as you can over the time frame. And as I mentioned, it goes until they're 18. So what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to give you time from your child. You can start from as early as they're born, and it gives you that 18-year time frame to save for their financial future. The only thing that we say is to keep putting money into it. There's no stipulation on forcing you to put money into it, but we encourage you to put money into it as often as you can. And of course, your money is getting interest every month. So the more you put into it, the more you would get out of it. So that plan is very good because it allows you to save. And then, like I said, once that time comes, you then have that money set aside. So you already know that you have that nest egg set aside for them. So you know that you're saving for their future as well. So that education plan would allow you to, and if you try to make it as affordable as possible, so it's $250 to start, $100 per month minimum. So we want to make it as affordable as we can to, because we know everybody's working with limited resources. So we wanted to make it as affordable as we can.
I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Pinder. Good morning. And
Good morning.
firstly, congratulations on your twins, Rock. Just saying.
Thank you.
I'm a twin, you see, there.
Oh, yes.
Couple questions. One, you are familiar with the Heritage Education Trust Fund.
Yes, ma'am.
What what makes your plan better than that? As a former agent of Heritage, I'm very familiar with their plan versus others in the market. And
Right.
why would you say yours is better? If you say that.
Sure. Well, without getting into too much specifics, I well, I can't even answer that question without getting into specifics. But I think that I guess the best way I could answer that question would be to do your homework on the plan. And that's something that we would always encourage persons when you're making whatever investment decisions you're making. Take a look at the rules and take a look at the rules and how the plan works is the best way I can answer that. When you talk about our plan when compared to others, the rules and restrictions on how our plan works versus Heritage, for example, is very different. And I think that's the advantage of our plan.
Because Heritage, of course, gives a scholarship on top of the savings after 18 years. Do you do
Yeah,
that?
but no, but it also has other rules and restrictions in place as well that ours does not.
Okay, we won't discuss those
Yes.
in the open market. But I also wanted to ask you on a more salient point. Now, I mean, just this week, we have seen a lot of discussion on cryptocurrency and that kind of
market
discussions. Yeah.
Correct.
Are the insurance companies and you see files and the heritages and so on, are they pivoting into that kind of investment as a opportunity for kids? I mean, gone are the traditional ways of, as you mentioned, throwing your pennies in the piggy bank and hoping that when you get 18, you're going to have this little nest egg. Everything now is about investing in that space. Are you guys pivoting so that and teaching children about that kind of language?
Yes,
That's
so
saving language.
Yes, that is a good question. I would say yes in terms of teaching them about it, but in terms of our plans, that's not something that we are pivoting to simply because of the volatility in that market. And of course, when we're talking about long-term savings, that particular market and its fluctuations in price and value and so forth, it's not something that's investment sound for long-term. And so,
Really?
No.
I would ask Keith Roy and a couple of the others in here too, who are in that space now, and all these folks in the financial area. I think they would say that's not the case necessarily, because
so when I say that, I mean that everyone, I'm just talking about the risk involved with it is what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily saying that it wouldn't or would yield a long-term investment. I'm just necessarily talking about the risk. And when you're talking about your company per se, that's not something that you would necessarily want to do for your clients, especially in our Bahamian market where we're so risk averse. So that's why I'm saying that in terms of long-term savings, we definitely aware of it. You want to have the conversation with persons so that they can do it. But in terms of us pivoting our plans into that market, that's not something that we currently do, just simply because of the risk involved with it and the type of market that it is. As you know, it's decentralized, so it's not a market where you can just go in and out and so forth. So I guess because of the risk factor, I would say that, of course, it's something that you can do individually, of course, but that's the risk that you would take with your own money, not necessarily with others' money.
I see. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Sophia. Your questions are pointed. Are there any other questions or comments before we close with the segment?
I have a final question. We talk about saving towards our children's future and for their overall wellness. And we talk about educational planning, but it's often said that the average Bahamian has less than $1,000 in their bank account. So given that type of savings culture, what percentage or how can we pivot that change to have people thinking more about saving towards their child's future? And if the average savings account has less than 1,000, it's been said.
Yes, yes. And so that's why, thank you for that. And that's why we give 2 points on that. That's why I talked about one, your own individual budget as the parent. Because the first thing you have to do is figure out what can you put towards your child's education. But also the second point is we want to break that kind of generational mindset where we haven't been saving generally as a people. And so that's why we talk about educating your child from an early age so that they can have that information, so that they can be different from, we can kind of change that culture, because it's more of a culture and a mindset. So that's why we talk about teaching them from an early age so that they can have a greater appreciation for savings and not necessarily having money in the bank, but just saving money and having investment options as well. So that's why we talk about teaching them from an early age so that we can kind of change that as parents.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pender. I think every penny saved is worth of our futures of our children. I just want to bring Rotarian Duran to give us a vote of thanks this morning.
All right, good morning. So, Mr. Pender, we appreciate you coming on this morning and sharing your knowledge. It seems like you were riffing off the top a bit, but you were speaking from the heart, speaking from what you actually know. And one of the things that I really liked about your topic and what you actually said this morning was about podcasts and finding content from reputable people that actually know what they're talking about and just consuming their content. I am one that actually fully believes in that and not listening to everything that everyone says. So we really appreciate you coming on this morning, and I'm sure that whoever invited you out here will be following up to see if you'd like to become a member of our greatest little club in the galaxy. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm Duran. Thanks, and once again, thank you once again, Mr. Pender. And like Duran mentioned, please, we're welcome to come back and join our meetings in the morning. You have the link for right now for the big odds. So please come again and be a part of our Rotarian family, Rotary family. I'd like to invite Tanisha to give us our raffle drawing this morning.
Thank you, President Therese. Can everyone see my screen, the wheel on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I have everyone. There we go. Congratulations, Destiny. Can you please send me a private message with your contact information?
Congratulations, Destiny. And we'll have our four-way test this morning. I'd like to invite Tamara back to give us a four-way test.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Tamara. And our final toast by Rotarian Kendrick. Kendrick.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Our final toast to take your box, glasses, whatever you have. Our final toast to Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world. Thank you very much, Kendrick. Thank you all for coming out this morning. We will have a little time on our hands. We will have our breakout groups for fellowship. Please join our breakout groups this morning prior to leaving, just to say hi and this fellowship in a small group setting this morning. If you haven't done so before, please do so now. So just want to, those who cannot stay, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next week at the same time, same place. Next week, our Rotaractors will be taking over as Youth Month. Rotaractors will be in charge of next week's meeting. And also, as we wind down in the year, in June will be Fellowship Month. So please expect to be a lot of fellowship in the month of June as we pivot off of Zoom and as we head into a new Rotary year, which with an exciting new board and team. So please look forward to give you and look forward to June, which is Fellowship Month. So please stay tuned. So please join the breakout groups this morning, and good morning to all.